I see a lot of stuff that you post on Facebook, and then I think it's beneficial to me. If I find it beneficial, I think a lot of people can find it pretty important. So I want to talk to you about the same thing that I talked to these guys from BBC. Like, if maybe 2 3 years ago, we nobody would have predicted Hokaba lady had lockdowns and everything, but then came the virus.
Mm-hmm.
Then after the virus, the only thing to the first step to try and fight it was to lock people down and then try to see what they can do from there. So I'm saying, if that could happen, why can't we do probably the same with the climate change? Because now it's what's about Lesotho, you know how it is here with the rain and whatever, and then Kanale, one thing that we export is wool and mohair, right? And then the other thing is kimezi. So I think with the things that we have as natural resources, we need to take care of the planet. But then we don't have, at least from how I see it, we're not doing enough to try and fight this thing. So why can't we do the same as the coronavirus, the hard lockdowns, treat climate change like a pandemic?
Yeah. Okay. So you want my opinion on that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So first of all, I think we need to establish an understanding of um, which parts and sorry, this thing is a bit annoying. Okay, so what climate change means to you, what climate change means to me, and what climate change means to the people that you're hoping can change or can adhere to any lockdown regulations, right?
Yeah.
So remember, the one thing that, in fact, this is very important because I'm doing a study on solid waste management, yeah? But this is like in South Africa, and I've realized that the most important thing is for people to be aware of why things should be done. You understand?
Okay.
And even when they are aware, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Everything's
Oh,
fine.
okay. So even when people are aware, they still need to be threatened to some extent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If something poses a life-threatening situation, and then it's easier for one to kind of adhere to whatever regulation that they're given abruptly, if that is so to say. But if you are here trying to say, no, we're trying to fix the climate, we're trying to get more rain, we're trying to, get the environment to behave a little bit more friendly to us as human beings, then it becomes a matter of do we want to compromise our livelihoods for that? Do we know? Remember, we were born in this era already where the climate has already changed, and we can't really say we know the benefits of a good climate system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me to actually adhere to whatever regulation you come up with, I would need to understand, to have comprehensive understanding of what a good climate system means, and as compared to what is happening now, and what I could benefit if we can go back to whatever the system was before, or even just to enhance it a little bit, you know.
Okay.
So it's a matter of, remember, if you're saying we're going to change, we're going to introduce a hard lockdown on human activity, the first priority is for you to get the people to be willing. They have to be willing to adhere to whatever regulation you're bringing forth. And when they are willing, they need to know how long this is going to be for, and they need to also know, right, what are the benefits of this. If you're going to tell me to fast, what is going to happen with this fasting thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a good initiative, but I think it needs a lot of work before you can actually implement it, because human are stubborn people, especially when you want to tamper with their normal, or what do I call it? Their
Yeah.
comfort zones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ne?
Yeah.
So you would really have to do a lot of work with trying to get them to come to the party.
Yeah, that's really interesting because it's one of the things that my concern was right there when Michael said it's because I was talking about the United Nations to kind of asking if they have the authority to organize the hard lockdowns toward the world. And he said it cannot do a dictatorial approach. It cannot apply it.
Yeah.
So my thing was people are not really entirely capable of doing what's good out of their own will. It's like they need to be pushed to a certain extent. And you saying exactly the same thing. So when we talk about maybe say what is it going to take to make them move from their way of doing things to a new way, and then somebody's going to come back and say what's the cost of not doing anything, because even if, like you say, we were born already when the climate is changed, and then if we don't change, like it has already changed by the time we were born, and then going forward we can see that there's a huge difference from when you were a kid, and now when you're a bit older you can see there's a huge difference. So if you're not saying, if you're saying uh because it's what people will say, that what about our normal livelihoods, then what about the cost of what about the cost of not doing anything? Because I think if we don't do anything then we're choosing death. It's like how we say it in Sesotho, ke kgoma moshate, wa e ja molato, ha o e je molato. So my whole point is around that, to say uh do we are we willing to choose to not do anything and then die eventually, or are we willing to do something, sacrifice a little?
Okay. Let me make an example now. COVID, no?
Yeah.
COVID came. It's a whole new thing for some of us. I've never gone through a pandemic in my whole existence, and I don't think you have either.
Yeah.
And it's a life threatening. Like 14 days, you are dead.
Yeah.
You catch it today, 14 days you're dead, or even earlier,
Yeah.
right? But it was still very difficult for me. And I'm talking about myself now.
Yeah.
It was still very difficult for me to adapt to living like that, living like a prisoner in my own home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At times I would feel like this is unfair, man. I feel like I don't have an opinion in this. Why don't they give me a chance to say, if you want to be infected, you can move around, but if you don't want to be infected, stay in
You
the
say,
house. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would still go out to grocery shoppings and whatever, and I'd still see people very what can I say? Not I would okay. You still see people not wearing masks. You'd still
Yeah.
see people not wanting to use the offered sanitizers and whatever because they think it will do whatever to their hands. People still didn't have that much interest, even though we have proven statistics that people are actually dying from this thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So now let's look at HIV and AIDS. No?
Yeah.
HIV and AIDS has been a thing of like over a decade now. Ne? And it's true that people are becoming more and more relaxed about it now. But earlier in the years, people wouldn't even want to be seen to be going to the clinics to go
Yeah.
test, to go.
Yeah.
People didn't even want to test.
Yeah, because
You
of
know
the
what I
stigma
mean?
around it. Yeah.
Because of the stigma around it. But also remember, you are stigmatized if information can be leaked
Yeah.
within your own self. If you were to ask Nay right now, anyone at the time to say, let's go test, they wouldn't want to do that because one, they are scared to, they feel like if you have HIV and AIDS, you're going to die sooner than whatever. And also the stigma, what will people say, whatever, the nurse will probably leak the information or whatever the case may be. But what I'm trying to say is the attitude towards the implementation of things that provide a better and a sustainable future for either human and the environment, it becomes such a difficult thing to actually implement, because first of all, education, people, even learned people, even people from, like, even people with PhDs, they still don't find it important for you to, for one, to actually consider environmental or social or economic sustainability in a way, because I mean, it almost feels like everyone is here for themselves. You know, if my family is not infected, if the climate is not affecting me directly, you
Yeah.
know, if the gas emissions are not affecting me directly, if I don't have any cancer caused by green gas emissions or carbon footprint, why am I even bothered?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
You look at the way solid waste is being managed in Lesotho. In fact, the way solid waste is, because I don't even think it's being managed. Sheba Hatsusan, what is
Yeah.
happening there?
Yeah.
Sheba taba ya body femeng.
Yeah.
Sheba, you know, and these are daily activities that are done by people, and most of those people are aware of the damage they're doing to the environment, but they don't care as long as they can get their paycheck at the end of the day. Then kudos. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not even about not being aware. Sometimes it's largely about not being aware, but even the ones that are aware, even the ones that may know the damage they're causing, they're more focused on being able to survive that now than being able to survive later.
Precisely. All right. So
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, and then it brings me to this point that was raised by Professor Bob, who said it's important for us to vote for people who care about things that we want changed. Do you think in Lesotho we have people who care about the environment, who care about the climate change that we can put in power to deal with this thing?
Okay. You know what I think? What I think is, I think we all care. If you can sit down with anyone and you pick randomly, sit down with that person and talk these things with them, you find out that they actually care. Ne?
Yeah.
But we are living in such broken systems that even when you care, once you get the power, you become something else. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
You become something else so much so that you will even forget the initial intent
Yeah.
of being there. All right. I'll make a good example with money.
Yeah.
Ne?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, if you know that you're going to have a bonus in December, you can write down all the plans that you have for December, your December goals. You're going to renovate your house, whatever the case may be. But the minute that money clicks in your bank account,
It's
and
no longer.
immediately I call,
Yeah.
I'm outside, I think we should go have a drink.
Yeah.
The next, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah. I get.
changes.
Yeah.
You now have access to this funds, and you automatically forget what
The
you had
initial
planned,
plans. Yeah.
the initial plan. Yeah, that is why right now these upcoming politicians, young ones that we believe really we can try to put these people in power and whatever. I believe they can try. You know, I believe they can try because of the hope that we think we all have for our country. But my other thing is, there's a certain percentage and chance that this person, when they get there, they're going to find, right now we are outside governance. Eh?
Yeah.
We can only see corruption as a bigger picture, but
Yeah.
we don't know the root of it. We don't know the core of it. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
And once you get inside and you see the core of it, you see that no, there's no way I cannot let this slide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to the people, you'll still be preaching whatever you'll be preaching. But now that you're inside, you will start little by little getting involved. You
But
understand?
yeah, I get you, but I still think, I don't believe if corruption was there in the first place. I think there's a certain group of people who designed the system where they can maneuver around it and try to get whatever they get that they are not supposed to get. So if that is the case, I think some people can try and fight it. So it's up to, I think it's up to us, as much as you say, and I'm not disputing what you're saying, it's true. But I think we can try something to try and say, hey, we can try to fight this. I follow a lot of military people, especially from the America, because they are the ones who give us information. And then those guys, they have so much self discipline that uh, if they are told to do something, it's you follow orders, you do what you need to do as per orders, and then you need to, if you have a complaint, it's something that you're going to do after you do what you had to do. And then the whole disciplinary committee, the way they do things in the military, it's massive, and I find it impressive. So I think what you say with these people being outside and then complaining about these things and then getting inside and then seeing how actually it is, the whole thing, and not being able to change it as per their preachings. I think maybe we need to approach the military because of the self-discipline. I think, don't you think they can help us if we put people in power, but before they get to government, then they get some sort of military training, and then whoever is found guilty of corruption is not tried in a civilian court, then we take them to the martial court. Don't you think it can have that kind of fear in people and then force them to do what's right?
Okay. First of all, I want to make it clear that I'm not saying putting people that we can entrust with change
Yeah,
um will not bring any solutions. I'm just saying we need to look at the what are the chances that this will happen? You know what I mean?
yeah,
So with that idea of incorporating the military institution, it's a broken system on its own.
yeah. Kind of,
It's
yeah,
a broken system.
yeah.
No,
our
no, no, it's
hours
broken.
hours
Yes, yes, specifically, I'm speaking about
Yeah,
us as
yeah,
Basotho.
yeah,
Ours is a broken system on its own.
yeah,
And I think for this to actually work, to be an effective um, framework, it needs to be like what do you that's for when Thakhisi, if you know what I mean. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
Because it's so deeply rooted that I don't know how much time we need to actually eradicate the complete corruption system that exists currently.
yeah,
You understand?
yeah,
And remember, African countries have relations with international countries from overseas.
yeah,
And all those specific countries, they have their own broken systems.
yeah,
Not that they're as broken as ours, but they have their own broken systems that they bring, they
here,
bring into it. Yeah, they bring them down here. And because we are such a, we're not a rigid nation or country or state, we have so many like it's so many things all together. You know
yeah.
what I
But I
mean?
think it could be to our advantage in a way, because we have, when these people came, right, we had our
Hmm.
own way of maybe governance, if we can call it that, Morana Musheshen, the way he did things. And then these
Yeah.
people came. I think everything has the weak points and the strong points. It would be good for us, and I think it's our weakness that we cannot take good things from their system and then incorporate it to our system, and then take good things from our own system and try to build something stronger. I think it's part of our weakness to take everything that they give us and just implement it. Don't you think?
What I think is what we can do is to try and have an honest and an honest SWOT analysis kind of thing where we can say this is who we are, né?
Yeah,
This is our strengths,
yeah,
these are our weaknesses, these are our threats, and these are our opportunities. And then we can work on integrating those things to make an effective system.
okay,
We can start from there to say we admit we are weak here, you know,
yeah,
but here are our strengths. How do we maximize on our strengths? Our military is very strong in terms of disciplining,
yeah,
right? It is commendable, I believe.
yeah,
as it relates to being putting emotions to things and stuff, they are doing very well. But my concern is, how do we then take that strength and commemorate it with or collaborate it or incorporate it with some of the other stronger countries' strengths,
Yeah.
copy a little here, a little from there, a little from there, and improve our weaknesses
Yeah.
while also considering the opportunities that we have.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's possible. I think it's possible. I think it's possible. I don't know if the harsh lockdown will work particularly, but I think little by little it's possible.
Okay. Well, I hope
Yeah.
I hope somebody somewhere with power is listening, because we really need to deal with climate change, and if we don't, then we have a serious problem on our hands.
But if we have to talk about it, NMDS is a failed framework. Like whatever they're doing there is failing dismally.